Hi, everybody. It's Brooke and Laura here for Lawyering Outside the Lines this lovely Tuesday that we're having here in December. And I know that anybody who watches us regularly or listens to us regularly knows that Brooke and I think mindset is pretty much everything. But it's a constant journey for both of us. It's not a given state of being. It's something that we have to work on. And on a personal note, I had a really rough day yesterday. 2020, COVID isolation month 420, medication issues, just, it was not a good day, let's say. And so after a bad morning and an excellent therapy session, I decided to sit in my feelings and choose to work on reminding myself of some of the things that have helped me move toward a more positive perspective and mindset in the last few years. So today we wanted to take a few minutes and we'd like to share 3 mindset shifts that help both Brooke and I, and hopefully will help you in your personal and professional development and growth.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're having a better day today.
Thanks.
The first is that nothing is personal. This is really hard, and it's probably been the most profound thing that I have taken away from the mindset work that we've done. So, it's kind of hard to ingest it sometimes, but it's very, very important, and it changes everything if you not only know this, but also believe this, because everything that other people do, it's about them. It's not about you, as hard as that is. So no one ever reacts to you, but only to their narrative about you. And everyone's individual behavior arises from their own experiences, their own perception, how they experience and view the world. And, we are wrapped up in our own stuff with our own fears and our own expectations. And that's based on our past conditioning. So we don't mean to be, but we are. And that's just kind of how it is and how we operate as human beings. So when we experience somebody or even something, the mind immediately is going to assess them and make a judgment, because the mind, the brain's job is really just to keep us safe. That's what it's doing. It's part of our self-defense mechanism and how the fear, fight, or flight process works. So the brain makes a rapid assessment, and then it's going to come up with a conclusion real quick. This is safe or this is not safe. If something is similar enough to something that has hurt us in the past, an emotional response, a reflex will be triggered. So sometimes when I get in that situation with people I'm close with, they kind of know, but if I'm talking to Laura, okay, I've been triggered. So she just knows, she knows, okay, here's her response and how she's going to be processing that. She's going to need a beat. So its purpose is really to get us to do something to keep ourselves safe. So while most of us are unconsciously just reacting to whatever presents in front of us as we go along, if that's how we're all operating, which it is how we are all operating, then how can anything anyone ever does be personal? So if you can kind of adopt that philosophy and that mantra that nothing is personal, it will change your point of view, and it will help you to move past things and to understand things in a way that you couldn't even imagine that you'd be able to do.
Yeah. And those triggers, I think, especially during the holiday season, can happen maybe a little bit more frequently. I just personal experience, my mother was here over Thanksgiving, and it was an amazing visit because I really have been in, largely in isolation since COVID started because of my medical issues and just fear of being back in the hospital again, because I was in the hospital last year with a virus-induced MS flare. So having my mom here was amazing, but there are triggers there because, she's been my mom for 43 years and I expect that she's going to react a certain way, or I expect words that she uses are, this negative thing or whatever it might be. And that's my problem that I need to work on, because I was taking things personally, and it's just a constant journey, and it's really important to kind of recognize and be aware. Second thing we're going to talk about is that you can choose happiness. Although our general mood and well-being are partially determined by things like genetics and upbringing, our state of happiness is largely within our control. A lot of research in the field of positive psychology has shown that happiness is a choice that really anyone can make. It sounds kind of easy, right? Make the choice to feel and be happy, and you are. If it was just that simple, everyone would be happy all the time, right? And, that's just not the case. So like most things, it takes work and awareness to not just make this choice, but follow through with the process and the items that you need to actually achieve it. So a person can actually alter her or his life by changing their attitude. And here are just a few ways that you can work on this, recognizing awareness and attitude change. First, you can make it a priority and pursue it. Think of ways that you can pursue, like journaling thoughts, ideas, specific actions, or even inactions that will help you in this pursuit of happiness. Brooke and some of our friends who work on this on mindset and awareness for themselves, but also to help other women. This is one of their favorite sayings, is sometimes the best yes for you is a no to somebody else. So inactions are just as important as your actions in working towards that path towards happiness. Another thing is to choose mindfulness. This is kind of an esoteric, out in the air idea, but being mindful and being aware of your behaviors, your actions, your feelings related to those behaviors and actions, it really can lead to a better understanding of what is making you happy and what's not making you happy, so that you can work on those alterations and tweaks that are meaningful and in response to your specific needs, versus just reading a book and everybody is the same, that kind of thing. So being aware, choose mindfulness, really be cognizant of everything that's happening in your life and how you're feeling about it. The last thing we'll talk about in relation to choosing your happiness or your path to happiness, choosing to be happy, is being compassionate. Compassion leads to contentment and peace, which can lead on the path of happiness. Think if you know any angry, hate-filled, discriminatory, judgmental people who are happy. I'm guessing not. You're not truly a happy person if you're so negative towards the outside world and how you react to it. So compassion really is an important thing to work on and practice and be aware of in your life.
Yeah, and as far as happiness goes, it's very empowering when you realize and we get to the place where you accept that, you don't need that external validation. And if you can separate yourself where, external things aren't driving you or dictating your worth or dictating your happiness and dictating your choices, when you recognize that you have the power to create that within yourself, that's a whole nother level that you get to, in work and in life. And going along with that, the third thing is that you are not responsible for other people's feelings. I'm going to say that again. You are not responsible for other people's feelings. That's very hard. I am someone who is a fixer and I like to fix people. And I'm very much predisposed to seeing the potential in someone, not necessarily how they choose to be. And so I tend to take on other people's emotions, which is extremely draining. Other people's feelings are not your responsibility, and they're also not responsible for yours. And that kind of goes along with some of that external validation. You cannot change how someone feels. No matter what you do, you cannot change how they really feel. You can influence emotions. You can influence their, do that in a good or bad way for them, but ultimately they are the ones who are going to decide their emotions, to decide their behavior. And we, like Laura said, expectations, we cannot expect to change how somebody else feels or change, how or what they want or what they think. The only person that can do that is that person. Same for you. You're the only person that can do that. That's a big ask of somebody to do that for you. You and you alone are responsible for your emotions. No one else is going to be able to make you happy. You choose to be happy. It's a choice. It's not made by other people. It is made by yourself. And like Laura said, that doesn't mean it's easy. That just means that you are aware and you're doing those things. It is not up to you to ensure someone else's happiness. Just like no one can make you happy except yourself, you cannot make someone else's emotions or thoughts your responsibility. That is a heavy, heavy weight to bear. And you just can't. It's just impossible. They choose those thoughts. Again, they choose those emotions.
I was just going to interject for a second with a little bit of a different spin that you are also aware of, Brooke, that I have noticed that especially this year in my life, I will withhold things from people because I assume that their response is going to be negative, or that it's going to hurt their feelings, or that it's going to make them angry or sad or whatever. So, it's another way of taking on someone else's emotions because I'm taking the burden of something on by choosing not to tell another person, hey, this is happening, just recently again with my mother, because she was just here with, some ceiling fan issues in the kitchen. I didn't want to tell her that I was paying extra to switch out a ceiling fan that just got installed, because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, which then when I told her made her feel bad because I didn't tell her. Assumptions and expectations are just such bad words that it's, still really hard and a constant journey to keep that out of your mindset.
It's so hard to keep that out. I mean, and you and I have worked through that even in our business partnership. And, really what it is, the most you can do. And when you're saying those things, you can influence them. Those things may influence them, but that person, regardless of your intent, that's a big thing. That's a trigger for me. Back to triggers. That's a big trigger for me, is that I know my intent, and rarely is my intent negative, in any situation, even in hard situations. And it is very off-putting for me when someone always defaults to whatever I'm doing has some kind of negative connotation or intent behind it. It doesn't matter what I do. I've been in situations where I could do all the right things, but that person is going to interpret your actions and your words however they want. Whatever that narrative about you or about the situation is going on in their head is how they're going to interpret it. So the most you can do is put it out there and influence them, because you don't need to be carrying that around. But still, you cannot be responsible for the outcome of what is happening on the other side. And so that is really important to know, that no matter what I do or say, I cannot change what someone else feels or what they do. That decision, again, is their decision. Your decisions are your decision. And keeping that in mind, there's nothing wrong with you if you can't make someone happy. I know we all beat each other up, whether it's a situation that didn't work out, a relationship, but you can't make that happen. You're not responsible for that. That is up to them and only them. And, hopefully that can take some pressure off of you, because it's not healthy for either person. It's not healthy for you in situations to approach them that way. So that is all about our mindset stuff that we wanted to pour out unto you today. I hope that that's beneficial for you. We recognize these are really big concepts that we're throwing at you, and these are things that we both worked on for a long time, and we continually work on it. Like she said, it's always a process, but try to take those things, reflect on those things, see how you can apply those things, and once you put those things into practice, once you are aware of these things and begin to practice them, they become automatic at some point. So anyways, thank you for joining us today. Next week, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going to be back here at 1 Eastern, 12 Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific. I did it. I messed it up real bad last week. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.